Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Mitchell's Childhood Memories, Part 16. Uh, be forewarned, today I'm going to tell two stories that have a little bit of violence in them. But the reason I'm telling these stories is because they were an important part of my life, my story, and also they have a valuable lesson which I believe for everyone. Okay, the first story takes place when I was a boy, I would say approximately 11, maybe 12 years old. I was walking along my street, Workman Avenue, and as I approached the corner of Skank Avenue, I heard a big commotion. There was like a shout, um, yelling. Then all of a sudden, I heard a car peel off and burn rubber and drive away quickly. I ran to the spot, and this is what I saw. There was a young black teenager who was badly injured, and he had two friends with him. And they told me that what happened was a carload of white young men stopped their car. A couple of men got out with baseball bats and beat their friend, and then got back in the car and drove away. I was really shocked about this because in my neighborhood, first of all, I didn't even recall any violence, and then racial violence was just unknown. And I thought these guys had to come from a neighboring district, not from around the Boulevard housing projects. Anyway, a crowd gathered to see what was happening. People looked from the apartment buildings, looked out. We told them to phone the police. The police should come. There were no mobile phones then, so you had to call from your home phone. So they called in the crowd. About 20, 25 people gathered. We tried to comfort the boy. And in just a few minutes, a police car pulled up, which was very, very good. And they saw what was happening. They called for an ambulance. They asked which direction did the hoodlums go. They wanted to chase him. We pointed the direction. We gave a description of the car, and the police took off. But to my shock, about a minute or two later, the car with the hooligans, with the white racists, came back. And first they were yelling at us, saying vocal words from their car. And then two of them got out of the car, and I remember at least one of them had a baseball bat. Now, a wooden baseball bat can be a fearsome weapon. And they approached us like saying that they were going to finish their job and bash in the head of that kid. And then his two friends, the two black teens, we're going to stay here, we're going to fight him. And I'm standing next to him and say, yeah, I'm going to fight him. And you have to remember, I am a really thin child. I am not very physically strong. I am not a street fighter. In fact, I'm a more non-violent, peace-loving person who loves to avoid conflict. But in this case, I said, we're going to stand and protect this injured child. And as they approached us, I said, okay, at least we have 20, 25 people standing behind us, and we can defeat them. And I remember, I'll never forget this. I took a glance behind my back, and the whole crowd of people had disappeared or were running away. It was just me, the two black teenagers, and myself defending that boy. And I would say one of the proudest moments of my life was I didn't run away, that I stood firm. In life, there's many things that I have done that I regret and I'm ashamed of. But this case, I'm very proud that I stood to defend that helpless youth, even though it was a very dangerous situation. And just fortunately, at that very moment, the other hoodlums in the car, they called out to their friends, come quickly, the police are coming, come, let's get out of here. So in the nick of time, we were saved, and these violent youths got into their car and drove off. Soon an ambulance came and took the boy away. I'm sure he was going to be all right. So that's story number one. Story number two took place, about 7 years later. I think I was in my late teens at that time. And the story takes place in the 270 Public School 273 playgrounds. But let me just set the story. There was a young mother moved into a nearby newly constructed apartment building, and I remember she was a single mother, And she had a son who was special needs. He looked like about 8 or 9 years old. And she loved to take him to the park, and the boy would just take a plastic baseball bat and a plastic ball and hit it and run and get at the ball and hit it. And he loved it. The boy was like laughing and loved it, and the mother would watch him, and that was fine. But I guess there was certain times when the mother couldn't be with the boy, and she would bring him to the park and leave him for a short while to play. Now, in the 1950s, that would have worked out fine. But now we're in the late 1960s, and the neighborhood changed. The park wasn't so safe anymore. And we had heard there was a group of teenagers, actually black teenagers, who harassed him. We just heard rumors about that. But anyway, one day my two friends, Howie Rosenberg and Erwin Paget, they were with me in the park, and then we saw it happen. This group of teenagers, what they did was so awful. They would take this little boy's ball, and he would cry, and then they'd pretend that here's the ball, and the boy would come and get it, and they would move their hand away, and he would cry, and they would throw the ball around. Then they would take his bat, and he tried to take his bat back, and they pushed him to the ground. They were mentally and physically abusing him, a special needs child, so badly. It was like to break your heart. And then so Howie and Erwin and myself, we walked over. We hurried over to the boy's defense, and we just said, we told them, leave him alone. And the leader of that group responded. He took out a baseball bat again. It seemed like the baseball bat is the weapon of bullies. This wooden baseball bat, and he threatened us that he was going to smash in our faces if we came a step further. But again, we stood our ground, and Erwin, he did something I'll never forget. He stepped right up to that boy with the baseball bat, and he said, look, you use the baseball bat, I'm going to use my fist. You want to fight? Let's fight. Let's do it. Let's get on right here, right now. And what happened was the bully, all of a sudden he started backing off, and then we just told them, all of you get out of the park. And they were backing off, and we were walking towards them, get out, get out, get out. And as they were walking out, one of the bullies said, well, you white people brought us here as slaves, so by beating up this white kid, sort of like, this is our payback, or something like that. Really disgusting words. It's funny, as they said it, I had this thought in my mind that they identified this little boy from the slave masters because he's white, but actually he was such a gentle soul, and these bullies who were beating him, they were the slave masters, and he was the slave. Because they got it all wrong, but it was really a horrible thing they did. And anyway, they left and ran away, and we had protected another young child. So you can tell from these two stories that in the first case there was a black teenager attacked by white racists. In the second case, there was a young white boy attacked by black racists. And in both cases, I'm very proud that I helped. I mean, I did very little, but at least I was there to stand by the abused child in both cases. But when I'm talking about this black and white, somehow it's wrong, because really, to me, it was just a matter of right or wrong. In fact, I hate, in both cases, I just tried to do the right thing. And it's also very, very important. I hate all these separations. We separate people, white and black, and this religion, that nationality, that nationality. But actually, it wasn't the matter. It was like a child was in danger, so I went to protect him. In the second story, a child was in danger, and I went to protect him. So I said, one of the things from my upbringing, from my parents and family, was they taught me to do the right thing. Thank you very much for listening. Have a good night.